Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Day After podcast and our sub-show Pixar Sunday, where we watch and review every Pixar film in chronological order. Finishing us off rather strong is the 2020 film Onward, directed by Dan Scanlon, which was released nationwide in theaters on March 6th, 11 days before our state completely shut down all movies, uh,
Restaurants.
everything.
Yes.
So it is a shame that this is one of only two movies, the other being The Good Dinosaur, that actually lost Pixar money.
And really through no fault of the movie's own, it was everything to do with the environment.
And I think that eventually Pixar and Disney and other production companies got the hang of moving something to streaming if it wasn't going to be there for an audience.
Yeah.
But this was right at the beginning when they couldn't adapt, and because of that, it didn't do great.
Yeah, it just kind of fell out.
But that's the finances of it. This is I'll get like a really, not petty, but a really transparent skin layer compliment to this movie.
It's better than Toy Story 4.
No. Okay, what it is I am shocked, absolutely flabbergasted. I had almost none of this spoiled for me.
Yeah, that was kind of surprising. I've seen, just the general trailers, but not any actual spoilers of the film itself. And I was saying as I watched this, number one, we were just coming off of Incredibles 2 and Toy Story 4, both of which we were thinking about. But this and this world and its story was something I have not seen in Hollywood in a very long time. A fucking original idea.
Okay, I am not asking you to defend. This is gonna sound like I'm asking you to defend this. Like I disagree, but I just want to hear. This is a fascinating point. I want to hear you kind of elaborate on that point.
So it's people have done magical worlds. People have done kind of D&D skins. People have done people really have even done modern versions of fairy tales. See things like Shrek and stuff like that. To actually put magic and a magical world into a modern setting without 40 minutes of exposition was really cool.
Yeah, this has shades of thematically in terms of bringing the mystic to the suburban. This has shades of Bright, that movie where orcs are on the police force.
Yeah, I kind of got that too. Only it did it like
way
well.
better. Yeah.
And so this was a really nice. It was really nice to see it done this way. To see a magic story and Disney gets touted a lot for single parent narrative, but this time they actually do something with it.
This time it's like the crux of the exchange,
And there's even parts of this movie that I thought were going to be really, really irritating. I am not a fan of Chris Pratt. Which one is it?
It's Chris Pratt. I don't know why that happens to you.
I don't know. I get all the Chris's mixed up because I don't care. I am not a fan of Chris Pratt. I don't like most of the movies he's in. In this one, he's fucking solid. I also thought Dad Pants was going to be just played for laughs every other scene. And while it is constantly reminding you that, hey, this dad is pants and that is a problem, they never shove it under the rug, but they also never make it like the focus.
You brushed by 2 points there that I want to praise the movie for. I've read pretty much every Pixar ranking film review out there now. Some people that watched Onward and ranked it found that the idea of a fantasy world turned suburban, turned trite.
Mm-hmm.
They found that got pretty tired pretty fast, and I guess I was waiting for something way more in your face. And did you get it? Because there are some Shrek type jokes, like the unicorns eating the trash and hissing like raccoons.
Yeah, or the sprites, which did nothing for me.
That could have been. I every time I hear like high pitched characters, I cross my fingers, and that was still could have been better, but it could have been way worse. The other one is that to my wife said it the best. Tom Holland and Chris Pratt absolutely mostly disappear into their roles as Ian and Barley Lightfoot.
Right. Yeah. When you do a star-studded cast like this, it can be really hard to not hear like, oh, it's the guy who plays that character. It's the guy who plays that character. No, they both did very, very solid, and that's a big credit to the actors and also a big credit to this movie's writing.
Yeah, the writing. Yeah, it's good writing.
I mean, it's well-written characters, and it doesn't matter how well you act if you don't have a well-written character.
And you have to. Let's be fair. Quite a bit of this movie is MacGuffin-driven.
Kind of, but like it's
that's not that was the setup to a compliment. I didn't mean to diss the movie.
It's a journey, not a destination.
Yeah, but as a result, they did a really good job writing these two characters, really well. You have to have that brother relationship, and that was another one of the movies that I got shades of, which was the Goofy movie.
Yeah, sorry.
No, please, no, interrupt me. Go ahead.
No, you should elaborate on that point if you're going to, because mine has nothing to do with that.
Okay, my point is just that it's really shallow. It's just like it's the same because it's about a relationship between a dad and a son. That's all I had. I'm sorry.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess there's kind of shades of that. What I love is that you develop this brother relationship from the second we start the movie onward.
Yeah.
We don't dive for like 20 minutes. We don't have a flashback every 20 minutes of, I remember this time you did this and you broke my crayons, but then you bought me new ones. Well, so I guess you were there for me after all.
Not only weren't there flashbacks, there weren't even like allusions to incidents as a kid. I mean, maybe once or twice, but...
Yeah, you really don't get that till the end. And everything else is told between these two brothers as it happens. And when the past becomes relevant, that's fine. Like that really, really great story of how the older brother didn't get to say goodbye to his dad.
Yeah.
But Barley, right?
Barley is the older brother, played, this is gonna sound, I feel really bad saying this, but it's so refreshing seeing the bro character be into D&D.
Yeah. You know, and that was another subversion. It was like, oh, weird, gawky, skinny kid. Of course he's going to be the D&D kid. Nope, it's just overly extra
shocked.
dude.
I never put two and two together. That's really refreshing.
Yeah. And yeah, I mean, it's always nice to see a character with that much passion. And I think that's where Chris Pratt does really well. I'm never gonna tell the two apart. I'm so sorry.
Oh shit, it bothers me every time you say that.
It's freaking the one in Jurassic World.
Okay.
I'm gonna call him Blue's dad the next time.
Welcome everybody to Pixar Mainstays, where for the last time we point out things that happen frequently in every Pixar film and what their role was in this one. John Ratzenberg plays a throwaway construction worker near the beginning and well, in this case,
like 3 lines.
Yeah, he has very few lines, but he plays a construction worker across from their high school by a fountain. A113 is a little difficult this time. It is not shown. It is an audio reference when a cop somewhere says, hey, we have an A113.
Oh!
Yeah, so that's what they have. And the Pizza Planet truck, I didn't even have to study. I was so excited. They stop at like a toll bridge or they stop the car somewhere, and there's stage right. There's a little Pizza Planet truck.
So I like how, going back to these brothers' relationship, because that really is the emotional payoff of the movie. Mm-hmm. We complained now for a while about these movies getting really, really fat. Mm-hmm. And that's why I wanted to emphasize that this is not told through flashback, that this is purely the interaction that's going on actively in the story is what builds this two brothers' relationship. And yes, there is stuff in that past that had them, you know, they had somewhere to start. That relationship wasn't building from nothing. But that was really, really refreshing to not have that bogged down constantly by other shit going on. How do you feel about the mom B-plot?
About, well...
the Ma and not one just X.
Octavius.
Octavius.
So let's be fair. Julia Louis-Dreyfus plays the most recent dump truck mom in Pixar history. I'm sorry, Julia. You did a good job.
No, it was really solid.
Yeah.
It's not your fault. Pixar has to have dump truck ass.
And she pairs with Octavia Spencer as a we'll call her a retired manticore who stopped slaying things and having adventures to open what is basically like a Shakey's Pizza or a Bennigan's or other like really
or
tacky...
Chuck E. Cheese.
Yeah,
let's do the one everybody knows.
Kinda, and they get together to. It's just a like. We're gonna follow our my sons and get them back. I think that there was no there's very little character line, if any, for them. So I think that it's great that we spend as little time on them as possible.
Yeah, I think it was meant to kind of bring the whole final battle scene, which we'll get to in a minute, to make it feel like a whole family affair. And I kind of see what they were going for. I would have preferred less of the mom and the manticore and more with the two brothers. However, I get the feeling that they threw the mom in there because, you're going to have those CinemaSins guys who pop up and say, oh, where are the parents in this scenario?
Well, that's low-hanging fruit, and I think this deserves to be, praised for touching really cool ideas. Here, is it okay if I move on to another point here?
Yeah, that's right.
It's, I had a really fascinating idea, and, I usually... Let me just say it, okay? This movie begins in what is, what on paper you're worried is going to turn into another Shrek 3. Like, isn't it funny that these fantastical things are in a suburban setting? It's so suburban. It's like painfully suburban. With the new dad who's not a dick. That was refreshing.
Yeah.
And, trying to relate, and, we're learning to do driving and invite some people for a party. So suburban. And then at the end, you are fighting a dragon, but that blend very gently, thematically, between suburbia to going on this huge adventure. That is the core theming here about what it means to be on an adventure.
Yeah, it turns from this very, pedestrian setting. And again, when you're watching this at the beginning, you feel like, oh, I've seen this movie before. I've seen a fantasy in a suburban setting before. But no, it kind of, like, that very well, it is not the point, it's a backdrop, which is where it belongs. And the core of the film is going on this adventure and building this relationship. And discovering what's about your family is really important.
And there are shades of suburbia that are dressed up just enough to make it. Like, there's an allusion to trying to cover up lying to the police with this spell that only keeps hold as long as you're still telling the truth.
Yeah.
And that both serves as an interesting, what this is about.
Yeah.
And also being a dramatic story moving through line.
Yeah.
Where, you think I'm a screw up? What the hell is that?
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's the first really, culminating tension between the two brothers. And really one of the first times that Tom Holland's character actually takes a stand, which is cool.
Yeah, it is nice. Teaching him these spells was a really... Okay, I won't say it's an ingenious. It's been done before, but it's a well executed not shorthand, but it's a way of lining up next to him, learning to be a man and take charge for himself as he learns these spells.
Yeah, and it would have been so easy for Barley to just be a neat, to just sit in his room all day and oh no, I don't have any interests, I don't have any passions, I just want to live with my mom forever because I'm sad about dad. And they don't do that. This guy is so bombastic and so energetic, and it's again really well played.
It's really yeah, I do like the refreshing, and he even said that's his characters, that he reinforces trauma for positive a positive impact like that.
But that's also not to say that he's just the goofy comic relief.
That is really good. That's really good.
He has really, really good emotional moments, including getting pissed about his brother because you think it's a screw up, and that scene on the car where he says oh, I didn't want to go into the hospital room because my dad was all tied up in tubes, and obviously that triggered me in reasons I
won't go into.
And reasons I won't go into, but it was really cool to see this character who's been so optimistic and so encouraging have this really deep, serious moment.
I think it's better hearing stories about the dad than him getting a voice actor. That's another way I was shocked I wasn't spoiled, reading the voice cast and realizing their dad doesn't have a voice role.
Well, so there's that tape.
Oh, you're right. There is a tape. Yeah.
So you get little line snippets.
Yeah, that
if
is
you even
really
want to
nice.
count that. Okay, can we talk about the dragon?
Okay, this is my favorite part. Oh, yes, it is an emotional moment, but whoever came up with this fucking dragon...
With the dragon made out of the ruined school.
Okay, look.
It's fucking awesome.
This dragon, who serves as the final conflict, serves 3 purposes. This is astounding. Here we go. Number 1, least important, badass as fuck.
It's awesome looking.
Yeah.
In a circle. It's what D&D players love about D&D, or playing Skyrim and seeing a dragon for the first time. You're like, oh,
Yeah, it's cool. It made me want to play Shadow of the Colossus like this movie made you want to play D&D.
Yes.
2, it serves as a physical manifestation. A lot of times emotional stories can feel like they just stop or fall off a cliff without physical confrontation. And this fucking dragon is awesome. 3, it serves a this through line that I talked about where it begins suburban and ends at the fantasy adventure. This blending, it is a perfect mix of that because it is a dragon, but it is also made out of school and rubble and man-made ruins. With the face of a stupid high school mascot on it, to the point where somebody said, "Guys, I got it. The roar needs to be the school bell." And when this thing opens its mouth, it's a really pitched down school bell, and I thought that is fucking incredible.
Yeah. So the dragon is really well designed, and I really like how they kind of bring that fantasy element in, but it's never like. It's never in your face. It puts it in a good setting, which is nice.
That's not even in your face. It's not for a joke. It's like a cool thing that they decided to do. You can do those jokes and still fight a fucking dragon. It was incredible. I'm sorry.
Well, and it becomes like a kind of like final test for this for this kid who's learned all these spells and after he has that realization that I was like, I didn't need to meet my dad. I had somebody who was there for me, but Barley never got to say goodbye, and that's more important. And so while the crazy, bombastic, magic and crazed brother has a deep emotional moment with his dad, this skinny, gawky kid is fighting a dragon.
What's really also really I was impressed by this also. Dad kind of sucks, and not in a way that he was a bad dad, but when he feels the vibrations of the car and he's dancing, it's like, oh, that dancing is awful.
I feel like, yeah, and so it's a cute, nerdy, haha, dad jokes.
Yeah.
I feel like this was on one of those, like, bars for a quick time event in a video game, where that little green ribbon is, at the very end, is, like, super, super skinny. Whereas if you had any more dad, you'd be way too much. But if you had any less, he wouldn't have felt important.
Yeah, he did.
And you hit this narrow margin just perfectly.
And I was so excited. And when Barley comes down after Ian didn't get to see the dad, but Barley did, I'm like, please give me that howdy, howdy, howdy moment. Which is that funny moment after an emotional scene to reset the energy. And he goes, he told me this was his wizard name. That sucks. It's
whimsical.
Yeah, let's take a quick break to talk about how much I laughed at this fucking movie.
Yeah, this movie is it's funny, but it's not like pause for laughter joke funny.
No, yeah,
There's little snippets that make you laugh.
It doesn't feel punched up, and they're like cute little gags that pay off later. Like, dude, is that your impression of our new dad? You were gonna have to work on that.
Yeah.
And then he has to work on it. Oh my god.
And then not all the jokes land. Like, again, I didn't find the sprites funny at all, but that's whatever.
Yeah.
This movie's not perfect, and we wouldn't be doing it any favors by not talking about the stuff that doesn't work. For me, it's the mom and the sprites. And when they try to implode too much magic stuff into it, that's when it doesn't work for me.
Here's a thing I'm glad they kind of avoided. No, the last, let's say minute and a half kind of fell into this, but glad they didn't touch on the idea that, society has to go back to magic.
Yeah, and, they kind of, touch on that, but they leave it very open, which is nice.
I think it's less of a normative claim about what this society should do, and more of a claim on how you can be suburban and boring and still have adventures.
And I'm a super nerd, but I love how they tie in magic with history.
Yeah, that is
this guy who chains himself to the fountain is like, no, you will not tear it down. I'm that's my boy.
I really hate to keep going. Oh, and that also reminds me how good this is. That also reminds me, but it's a really cute thing. Like, of course, in this fantasy world, D&D is just their history.
Yeah,
that's nice.
Yes.
Do you want a final thought?
Yeah, I'm into final thoughts. Why don't you go first?
Oh, this movie's really purple, which means it has a good, consistent color palette. It knows how to look good.
That's your final thoughts, is the color palette?
No, color palette good. It's a sign that, you don't have to cry at an emotional moment, but as a Barley puts in Ride of the Valkyries into the cassette player, and you realize what he's about to do. You're like, oh, that sucks, man. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to cry, but you can feel bad for these characters and their situation. But all around, really good. Really sorry that a once in a century virus tanked your performance, because this was actually really good. I got a lot of Ratatouille energy from this, especially with the dad and the little slapstick. But really good. I really recommend paying $4 to rent this on YouTube.
Yeah, so everything in this movie felt earned. All the laughs were earned, all the emotional beats were earned, all the plot points didn't feel shoved in there to fill out time. And I was actually, you know, we've been through a slog of Pixar. When I looked at the runtime and was ecstatic, it was just over 100 minutes. And so it's good to see that Pixar can do a simple story. And like I said last time, I want more of those stories that I can explain to somebody in like a sentence.
Yeah.
And this brought a very simple story and put a whole new spin on it, and did something with its world that I feel like only Pixar can do, which is really, really solid.
Oh, good times all around. Well, that is 22 out of 22, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us on this episode of Pixar Sunday, where we watch and review every Pixar film in chronological order.
Wow, what a ride.
What a ride. We filmed this in a little bit in advance, because in 1 week, please join us for a post-show recap, where we kind of fire through our feelings and take a final list about how we feel, ranking all the Pixar films from Cars 2 to number 1.
And our lists are pretty different too, so
there's a room for some variation, including we got to put some stuff on there. But this,
I know this is our last Pixar Sunday. Are we going to podcast on Soul?
No, maybe when it comes out.
Okay.
But that's not either here nor there. But thank you guys very much for joining us. This movie is so purple.